When he turned his back from shoulder to shoulder, it looked like as wide as the tailgate of a truck.
And just darkness, literal darkness, just came like all over, just all over me except where I was standing.
This thing let out the most blood-curdling, mind-blowing, spine-tingling scream that you've ever heard in your life, and it cut through me like a knife.
And I knew that they were going to take me. I just knew it. And then the next thing I can remember is being levitated.
Well, when I look in there, I see two big eyes staring back at me.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Bump Podcast, a place for the believers of the unexplained, monsters, and paranormal. Join us, and we'll go face to face with what goes bump in the night. Hey there, believers. Got a great show for you today. We are going to get into the unexplained, monsters, and paranormal. And if you've watched this show more than one time, you probably know that's what the whole acronym for the show, the title of the show is an acronym for the believers of the unexplained, monsters, and paranormal. Today, I'm bringing on Joe. He's on the West Coast. So it's in the morning for him. I actually took a day off work so I could make arrangements to talk to him today. Because he's got it all. He's got the ghost stories. He's got the UFOs. He's got the Bigfoot. And I got the attention span to listen to it. This is right up my alley. I know it's what you guys like to hear too. So I'll let Joe come on here. We'll just jump straight into it. Next week will be the second anniversary episode. So that's exciting. And right now it's Tuesday afternoon. And in about, 11 hours, this episode's going to drop, so I got a lot of work to do. So let's go ahead and bring Joe on. Oh, let me just go ahead and add this while we're waiting on Joe to hop on. Anybody that's going to be in the southern West Virginia area in a couple of weeks here on the 21st of May in Boone County, I think it's John Slack Park, something like that. The Wood Booger Jamboree is going to be going on. It's an all-day event. I think it starts at like 10 o'clock in the morning on that Saturday. I got a booth set up there. This is my first one of the year, I believe. And I don't know, I just love to see everybody come out. I might have a little swag bag for anybody that wants to stop by and give me a little interview. Just do a little recording session with me, 5, 10, 30 minutes, whatever you're comfortable with. But yeah, I'll be there. I'll have a little bit of minimal merch, but I'm really just there just to see people and say what's up. So yeah, come check us out. There's going to be all kinds of stuff going on there. I think it's free. It's a free event. I think they're doing face paintings for the kids and stuff, something fun. There's going to be like a little Bigfoot workshop. Just a meet and greet to get out in the public, just the county's putting it on, I believe. The guys at Wild and Weird West Virginia, their podcast, their website, Wild and Weird Radio, Wild and Weird West Virginia Radio. I'm butchering all this. Anyway, it's Joe and Ron. They were up there at the Bigfoot conference in Ohio. Great guys. Just look up Wild and Weird Radio, West Virginia podcast. They got all the details. Me and Joe go pretty far back at this point. So go check them out. Come to the Wood Booger Festival, Jamboree. Let's have a good time. Let's just have some fun. Waiting on Joe. Might have to send him an email or something again. Oh, there he is. All right.
Okay. All right. So my name is Joe. I born and raised in San Diego. I currently live in San Diego, and I don't know. I like I mentioned before, I I'm able to listen to podcasts at work all shift, and I binge, man. And after I heard you on, like I said, I believe Tinfoil Hat, I couldn't stop. And a lot of my podcasts are similar.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking one day. I was like, man, all these people, they experience all this stuff, and I want to experience that stuff. And then a topic about it came up at work, and I just started telling all these stories.
Right.
And I started thinking about it more. I was like, you know what? I gotta write this down. I gotta write this down. And I reached out to you. Like I said in my email, I don't know what it was, man. I started hearing a bunch of stories that like, hey, that happened to me too.
Right.
You know, or that was similar to my story. And I was like, I think I gotta message Bo.
I'm so glad you did, man.
Yeah. So I sat down after we first started talking, and I tried to think back as far back as it goes, and I do have a timeline here, and so I'm not sure what year this started. I do remember this is like first memory stuff, so take this for what it's worth. You know, I'm a little kid. I don't know what I don't think I understand exactly what happened in this one, but I'll go ahead and just start. So I was at a park with my parents, and you know, we went into the bathroom, and it was in the middle of the day. Nothing spooky there. It was a beautiful day, as it always is here in San Diego. And I went into the bathroom, and it was dark, and I don't know. I'm just going to say how I remember it.
Okay.
It was almost like this giant robot. I don't know how else to describe it. The best way to maybe say what it looked like to me as a child was like a gigantic R2-D2.
Yeah, man.
And it wasn't, I was terrified of everything as a kid. Everything. Scary movies, scary noises, it's everything. So I don't have much else but that story. That's just it. I remember hearing something on I believe one of your episodes where someone said that, I don't know about if it like a tulpa or something along those lines, but it's just something that I saw that absolutely terrified me.
Right.
And like I said, there's not much to it. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything else. So then we fast forward to about 97, 98. I was about 4th or 5th grade, and I was spending the night over at a buddy's house. And well, they were brothers, so they were both my friends, and we were out on their balcony. Now we're in like the city, like a suburb of San Diego, and we do have Marine Corps Air Station Miramar out here, but that was behind us, and this was we saw this orange light, and we just thought it was a plane, but then we saw it stopped and moved to the right, and then it moved back to the left, and then we noticed something drop from it. Okay. Much smaller, little tiny light just dropped from it. And again, I was terrified as a child. So I ran inside. I didn't see anything else. It started moving, like not towards us, but like in our direction. And that was it. I was done. I wasn't about to see what happened next. So I left. Another story that I'm not too confident in, but I know what I saw. And again, the details, that's all there is. So now we get into a little bit of the meatier stuff. I think we all went through a ghost hunting phase.
Yes, sir.
And,
yeah, absolutely.
Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters, all those shows. So I went through my own about 2009, 2010. And I'm going to refer to a place as the office. The office is the home that I grew up in. My father has a company out here and he has turned it into his office. And I worked for him for about 5 years. And so I spent every day there, 5 days a week, 10 hours a day, just doing his office management for his company. And I was, he remodeled the bathroom and there was a urinal in there. And there's a mirror that stands that sat in front of it. He's since remodeled it again. But so I was using the restroom and I had that mirror, that mirror's right there in front of me. And as I was using the restroom, I felt 3 distinctive fingers across the back of my neck. Now, it's not the cold feeling that everybody talks about. It was like an electricity feeling.
Really?
I don't know. It was, I scrunched up my neck and I was like, oh, what is that? And I looked in the mirror and there's nothing there. But I know I felt there was 3 fingers across the back of my neck. So after that, I got my digital recorder.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I started an EVP session. And it didn't take very long to get a response after reviewing it, but about 19 seconds in, I asked, what are you doing here? And I heard, the typical whisper, I don't know.
Oh.
That's what I heard. I let a few other people listen to it because I was like, oh, look what I've got. Look what I've got. This is great. This is proof.
Yeah.
And everyone's listening. And they're like, one person said, I hear another voice. And then someone was like, I hear both of those voices. And then I hear this other thing. And every time I showed it to somebody else, they said they would add on to it. And like, oh, just thinking about it gives me a little bit of chills. It was pretty incredible. So after that, I reached out to my mom because my mom was living, I believe, in Idaho at the time. And I said, Mom, do you ever experience anything in that house? And she said, I experienced a woman at the top of the stairs in a white dress, black hair. And the bathroom, obviously the bathroom, it's a small 2-bedroom townhome. So it's all pretty close together. But it was a woman's voice that I captured. And I didn't say, hey, did you ever experience a woman or ghosts or anything? I just said, do you ever experience anything weird? So she gave me that validation with that. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. That's
That's
freaky. I'm sorry. I had somebody last week, one of my students, telling me about seeing what he thought was his mom at the top of the steps. You're freaking me out. Go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
Well, we come back and forth through the office a few times within my stories, but for now that's all that happened with that. Later that year or around that time frame, again in my ghost hunting phase, I got a group of friends of mine together and we went to this place in San Diego called Old Town. And that's exactly what it is. It's just Old Town San Diego. It's where it all started here in this town, and a lot of history. We've got the Whaley House, which is incredibly haunted, and just all sorts of history. And we went they have a graveyard in the middle of the town, and it's really cool. They have these little, probably silver dollar sized medallions on the sidewalk and in the street, and it's where they paved over graves. That's not the cool part, but it's just they didn't know that it was there.
Yeah.
So they went through with whatever machinery that they have, and they found these graves. So we were walking around this little grave, and this is not a spooky grave. It's in the middle of a town, an old town. On Friday, Saturday nights is music and tacos and drinking. Right. And So it's not like a off in the woods, scary type of graveyard. But we were getting kind of, we were walking around and like, we're getting too much interference here. There's a lot of people. There's a club down the street, and let's go up to the Presidio Park, which is up on a hill above Old Town. An old Spanish mission was there, and it burned down. And there's a ton of people that say, "Oh, I saw this up there." So again, we're like, oh gosh, I want to say around 21, 22 years old. Okay. And so we're real smart, and we took a Ouija board up there, and
oh man, come on.
I know. Got the candles and everything, and we didn't know what the heck we were doing.
Yeah, man.
But we were playing on this park bench that was there. Now I will absolutely be fully transparent and say that there's a lot of homeless. There are rabbits. There are all kinds of things up there that absolutely could have caused the noises that we heard. However, the noises that we heard were footsteps pretty close to us, just circling us almost. Real great omen.
Yeah.
But we asked whatever things we were talking to, we were asking what the name was, and it gave us this really unusual name. It started with an X. I cannot for the life of me remember what it is, but we wrote it down. It then started to kind of portray itself as one of my best friend's relative, and it answered some pretty personal questions, but I don't remember what caused us to spook, but we were like, nope, that's it. We're done. We closed the session and we got the heck out of there. Now the area we were in, it was not particularly spooky either. Ton of houses around us. But the next morning we looked up that name in the phone book. Now the name, it was what's your last name, and do you have any living relatives? And the answer was yes. So we looked up in the phone book and we found the name. This name, there's no excuse me, there is no way for 21-year-old kids could have thought to put this name on the board. I don't know. I feel like there's a 50-50 with Ouija boards, and because we all did you're moving it. No, you're moving it. But
of course. Right.
So I don't know truly. It was just a weird coincidence with that one.
Well, there's no such thing as coincidence, man. That.
Yeah. Look, I'm just saying that for the record. I fully believe every single story because I was there.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So let's fast forward a little bit. I went to college, became a gunsmith, got my first job building revolvers in Flagstaff. And I was living with a ex there. And one night, middle of the night, she wakes me up and she says, it was so out of nowhere. It was, shake me to wake me up. The witches are here to sleep, and then back to sleep like nothing happened. And I was like, I'm wide awake. You can't do that.
Yeah, man.
After that happened, I had a German Shepherd mix dog named Hula, and she was a rescue from the res that's there. She started having a lot of negative reactions to things, almost like something was tormenting her. She just always seemed like she was whooped, and she wasn't abused. I loved that dog. And around the same time, the ex saw a male entity in the house. I have no details further than that. I don't know if it was a shadow or if it was, the the typical movie ghost,
Right.
the translucent, but she said she saw a male entity in the house. She said that my ex also mentioned that the entity didn't like her, but was really protective over me. That was the feeling she got.
Yeah.
So oh, well, that sucks, but also pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Wrote it off, and that was it. Nothing else happened.
Did you ever see anything?
No, not there. Didn't feel anything. Didn't see anything.
Wow.
It was just what she told me.
Right.
And that was it for Flagstaff. Moving forward to 2016, I moved back to San Diego. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I move away because of California, and then I move back because this is home. I can't juke it. This is home. This is where I belong. But I moved back to San Diego in 2016, and I was living in the office.
Okay.
And again, Hula was having the negative reactions. And I had a conversation with my ex, and I said, should we like not keep her in a kennel? Because it's almost like it's just like keeping her in one spot for something to bully her.
Yeah.
And this is a conversation like on our way home. Well, let's start leaving her out. Let's see how she does. And we came home, and the kennel was closed, completely closed. She was out of the kennel, and the carpet was all torn up in that room.
Yeah. Now,
the carpet was absolutely 100% torn up by her. I know that for a fact. I saw the padding in her poops. It was there.
Right.
And I figured out how she got out of the kennel. She just squeezed her big butt through the door. But what scared her that bad to make her get out? Maybe it was just the anxiety. She was absolutely anxiety ridden. I'm not sure. Yeah. But something might have been messing with her and just got her to the point where she said, I am done. And she got out of there, and she was trying to get out of that room.
You know, Joe, I can totally relate to this story. And I don't know if I've ever even shared this, but right after we moved in this house, we've been here, August will be 3 years. And I started the show about a year after I was here, 9 months or something like that after I was living here.
Okay.
It was either after maybe the first couple of months. It was within the first year of the show of moving here. But we had been here for a while. I don't know for 100% if I had started doing this show or not at this point. But I have a little Shih Tzu poodle mix, Coco. Okay. She's a tiny little baby, 12-year-old dog. Cool as she can be, she's a little grumpy because she's old, but she loves her kennel, and we had some stuff go on here at the house, some bumps and thumps and stuff like when we first moved in. We worked all that out, but out of the blue, Coco started having a problem with her kennel. There was a time she was going nuts. The kennel was downstairs, always has been. We were upstairs sleeping. She starts going crazy. I come downstairs, and she has a little dog carrier, like you put in the car and take them with you and stuff.
Yeah.
She likes that thing. So I put it inside this big giant kennel that she sleeps in because she likes to crawl in there like a little cave,
Yeah.
But that dog kennel, that little carrier, was like flipped upside down, turned around backward, facing the opposite direction. Blanket was pulled about halfway out of the kennel, and she's freaking out to get out of there. And I swear to you, the hair on her chin, now this was, like I said, 3 years ago, she was about 9, but the hair just on her chin had turned white, and it grew out, and it's back to normal color. But whatever it was, it like terrified this little dog. And I don't understand like the hair turning white thing. People say that happens. I saw it happen on my dog. Like she had a white patch on her little chin. freaked me out. So now Coco don't sleep in her kennel. That door stays open. She comes up. She sleeps with us, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Excuse me. Yeah, you know, Hula, she was a troubled dog. She had a lot of stuff go on with her. And like I said, she was a rescue.
Right.
And I have this other, we call him my old man. He's, oh gosh, 16 now. He's my little Chihuahua buddy. His name is, we changed his name when we came to San Diego this last time because his name was Cholo. He's a little Chihuahua. We call him Chobi now because my wife has 2 sons that I consider my own. And we didn't want a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old going around saying the word Cholo in San Diego. So,
yeah, I get that.
You know, we call him Chobi.
Yeah.
And nothing has ever messed with him. But there was one time in, I want to say it was at the office around this time, it might have been, I don't know. It was either before or after Hula tore up the carpet. His kennel was just open. Hula was still in her kennel. So it wasn't that she let him out. And I was very adamant, always adamant, because he's old. He's just always been old man. Right. And if he's got to go, he's going to go. He's he's house trained, but if he's got to go and you didn't take him out, this is on you. Yeah, man. You know? Yeah. So he loved his kennel as well. But just one day I walk in, like, what are you doing out? And there he is. His kennel is the latches are open, the door is wide open, and just, okay, I guess this is the thing that you did.
It's weird how that stuff happens, man.
Yeah. So that's all that happened. So after, when we moved to San Diego, I worked for a little company out here that built AR-15s, and they went into ammunition production. But it wasn't paying the bills. Right. You know, I had a associate's degree and there's no gunsmithing degree, but I had an associate's degree that dealt with gunsmithing. Nice. And I specialized in firearm manufacturing, and I was making $13 an hour in California. So it's not enough. So I moved to Idaho in 2016 or about 2017. And I lived with my sister, my mom, and my ex. And when I went up there hoping to become an armorer for sheriff or police, but they got rid of that the year I graduated, I guess, from what I've been hearing. So I had to get a job. And I got a job it was a temp job. It was up there in Idaho. They love their potatoes, and they have a harvest. There's 2 of them, but I was there for the October or September. It's about September, October is when this whole thing happens. And my sister got me the job working in a potato cellar. It started out with her being a piler, which is exactly what it sounds like. She works the Sputnik potato. I forget the name, what it's called, but it's just a big boom that has a conveyor belt on it, and you pile up the potatoes. Super, super clever name for the job. And I was the they I don't know the official name, but I know that they called it the pipe layer. So I laid pipe all day.
Did they give you a name tag? Did it make...
No, they barely paid me. But we laid down these big pipes with holes in it, and it helps because potatoes are super finicky. You know, if they're too cold or too hot, they not turn out well. So this helps regulate the temperature, especially in the winter months. Right. So my sister got asked if she wanted to go work in the it was like they called it the hut, and it was where all the big rigs check in and check out. So she said yes, absolutely, because she was in this phase in her life where she was tired of working these type of jobs. She wanted to better. So she's my older sister. There's 3 of us. She's the middle kid. I'm the youngest. Yeah. She's just tired of living that way. Yeah, man. So she got into her head that she wanted to become a trucker. So she went and worked it there, and she talked to these truckers all day. But that left our piler job open, and I was like, pays $1 more, I'll take it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I get it.
So we were in these old cellars. We call them old because they built brand new ones that are high tech and super nice and not spooky at all. But these old ones were old and very, very much so spooky. So, there's this middle catwalk where you kind of overlook the place where you pile the potatoes, and you have this wireless remote for the piler. And I'm sitting up there one day piling potatoes. Now there's a lot of vibration because the potatoes are hitting. It's almost like sheet metal on the side.
Yeah.
You feel the vibration the entire day. You know what it feels like. You know what it sounds like. You know what is going on. You recognize that sound. At that time, I started feeling these really heavy knocks, just boom, boom, boom. And something caught my eye on my left side, out of my peripheral. And I looked over, and it sounded like somebody was walking down, and it's dark. It's dark at the other end. You can't see. There's lights, but it's still dark. And I'm going to call them steps, because that's what I recognize them as. They're steps, different from the potatoes hitting the side of the wall.
Right.
Very, very different. At least these were. So I hear doom, doom. And as those steps are coming towards me, the lights above me, as those steps are passing them, go out one by one. Mm-hmm. So as it gets up to the next light, goes out. Step, 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 light goes out, so on and so forth. I mean, this thing was probably around 100 yards long. They were, I'm going to say they're fairly small for a potato cellar, but they were still big, you know? Yeah. And then it gets to where the light right next to me is the last light on, and it flickers. Oh, and the footsteps had stopped. I'm sorry, I said that out of order. The footsteps stopped. Then the light flickers, and I had the remote on like a shoulder strap. I drop the remote and I go, no, nope, nope, and I start walking towards the where the sunlight is. Yeah. And then I hear the footsteps again, but going away from me. And I turn around and I look, and the lights are coming back on the same way they went off.
No way.
And,
oh my gosh.
I get out of the cellar after that shift, and I'm asking people, hey, has anybody experienced anything in there? Again, not trying to say, hey, I saw a ghost.
Yeah.
But everyone, there was like a supervisor or something. I don't know what his title was. He was above everybody that was there all day. He goes, oh, I feel like he was joking with me though. I feel like he was making fun of me. I don't know. But he said, oh, yeah, old whatever, Jim Bob, whatever the name that he gave me was, died up in there, and he walks up and down that catwalk, which makes me think he wasn't making fun of me, because at the same time, I never said I felt something on the catwalk.
Right.
And he wasn't there long enough to know where I was in that cellar.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was probably one of the even though I've been touched, that was absolutely terrifying. Shortly after that, they turned the next day or the day after, something like that. They turned the lights off while I was still up there, and they were, because we were closing down. And one of my coworkers forgot something. I was like, I got it. Don't worry about it. Just don't let them turn the lights off. And they ended up turning the lights off. So now I'm in this pitch black cellar. Now that's not even the worst part. I didn't have my phone, so I didn't have a flashlight. I didn't have an actual flashlight. So now I have to find my way because I'm in the middle of this cellar, and like I said, it's about 100 yards long.
Yeah.
So I'm like, which way? I think I'm closer to the back side than I am the front side. So I'm like, okay, so I've got to start walking my way across this catwalk in the dark, with potatoes on the catwalk, because they splash over sometimes. And then I get to the stairs, and there's potatoes all over the stairs, and I have to find my way down in the dark. Man, I got to that door, I busted out of there, and I felt like, I don't know, do you ever watch wrestling?
Oh
Remember
yeah.
back in the day, and everything.
Yeah.
It was
bro.
like Stone Cold Steve Austin coming down the ramp. I was like, "Who the heck did that?" It was not a fun moment.
No, there's
It's
no
not a
way.
fun job. So a year later, I get out of the temp job, and again, got my degree. I've got a specialty skill. Can't find work in Idaho, of all places. You would imagine a state as red as Idaho, you'd be able to find gun work.
Yeah, for sure.
Not a lick of gun work for me. So I'm working tires.
Yeah.
And this job allows me to get an apartment.
Nice.
And I lived in, they call it the Fargo building in Pocatello, Idaho. And it is a old building. So I got my apartment because the previous tenant died in it.
Lovely start.
That was great. They didn't tell me that. My neighbor told me that. This woman, she was so cool, man. I wish I remember her name. She was so cool. She was an old hippie stoner lady and just not a care in the world. She was so awesome. But she goes, "Hey, I just, are you all okay in here?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" "Oh, I knew the previous tenant and they said they saw this." I feel like she said it was like a gorilla entity or like a entity shaped like a gorilla or monster. I don't know.
Let's go.
Yeah, I know. I was like, "No, I haven't felt anything." "Whoa, the husband left and the woman committed suicide in here." I'm like, "Cool. That's really nice. I love hearing these stories. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tell me more, please."
Yeah.
And I got, I believe, black tourmaline. I believe that's what it's called. And I never experienced anything at all in that apartment. So there's a door, it was a door next to my door that led into the walls and the basement of the building. And that door continuously opened by itself all the time. I never saw it up to this point. And I'd always close it and it was locked. It was always locked, but it'd be wide open. And then like I'd be in my kitchen, I'd hear slam and that door was closing. And then one time I was walking up to my apartment door and wouldn't you know it, it just slowly opens right in front of me. So I'm like, cool. This is great. So I just kind of, ignore it and open my door and go inside. That was it for that.
Yeah.
Again, I was walking down the hallway to go to my truck, and there's this door in the middle of the hall next to the laundry room that had a small little tiny padlock. One of the ones you put on like a keepsake box.
Right.
And this door just like the padlock, everything just catches it, and it just opens as far as it could. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna keep walking.
Yeah.
Didn't think anything else of it because I didn't know what was behind that door. And then the next day, or maybe that weekend, I don't know, somewhere around there, shortly after, those doors were wide open, and it was nothing but a broom closet, maybe a foot deep. And it just, I was like, well, you know what? Given this building, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I said, the neighbors, they all confirmed what had been happening. Like, oh yeah, that happens all the time.
But what are you going to do?
It happens so much. It's the normal, I guess. All right. Yeah. So fast forward again to 2020. We're all dealing with the COVID stuff, and camping was not affected by COVID in Idaho. At this time, the girl that I met in Flagstaff and I were no longer together, and I had met my wife, my now wife. We just found, like, where can we go camping? We lived in Idaho Falls, and so where can we go camping? Where can I take my wife and my two sons where it's going to be safe but we can do some fishing,
Yeah, man.
you know, because they didn't know how to fish, and I spent just countless days, especially in Idaho, fishing.
Oh yeah.
So I found a place along the Snake River, and I after I contacted you, I tried to find the name, and I couldn't, because it was just north of Idaho Falls, but it was like Wolf Creek or Silver Wolf Creek, something like that. But it was beautiful, man. Postcard, beautiful. We get to the river, and it's just like, this is not real. This is it's just gorgeous, man. But you know, we were only spending the one night. Just little kids, and camping sometimes can be kind of rough, especially if they're not used to it, which these kids were not necessarily fully used to it. Yeah. Anyway, they like to camp. They just didn't get the opportunity to do it a lot.
Yeah.
So we just spent the one night. You know, we roasted hot dogs and made s'mores, and we did fishing, and I took the opportunity to teach the older boy the gift of patience and how it pays off, and how if you were meant to catch fish, they wouldn't call it fishing, they call it catching. You know, it's about the time spent, it's about your surroundings and enjoying the outdoors. And we were having a great time. Caught my first cutthroat. That was pretty cool. I never caught a cutthroat before.
Well, that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah. And but we set up the tent. We're getting ready for bed, and boys are out. They're little kids dead asleep. Can't wake them up with nothing. And I have to go pee, and I start getting up, and then I hear it's like dead quiet outside. It was beautiful, but this dog started barking. And, you know, it was a domesticated dog.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of other people around, but we weren't like crowded. And this dog, like I said, this dog started barking, and I heard this howl. Mm-hmm. And I hunted in Flagstaff. I might have been born in the city, but I'm a hunter, fisher, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I know what a bobcat sounds like. I've heard mountain lion, I've heard elk, I've heard bear, I've heard every animal that you can in this region. I had never heard that before. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I looked at my wife, I said, did you hear? Because I hadn't gotten out of the tent yet. I wasn't about to.
Right.
I looked at my wife, I said, did you hear that? She goes, well, what was that? I said, I don't know. I don't know what that was. So I get out, and I have my Glock 20 palmed the whole time. Like that's gonna do anything, but it made me. It's my safety blanket. I felt safe.
There you go.
So I go out there. I do my business. I get back in, and I'm pretty sure the first time I ever heard somebody else say this was on your show. I heard these tree branches like breaking. It was so intense, and it sounded like it was right outside our door. I don't know how to describe it. It sounded like something was just like breaking these like huge branches, like trees were falling over, and I don't know what it was, man. It scared the absolute hell out of me.
Yeah, man.
I have never been so scared in my life. And like I said, it was for multiple reasons. One, I didn't know what that was. Two, is this tent going to get crushed underneath a branch? Are my kids going to get hurt? Is my wife going to get hurt? And because they sounded like right by the road.
Yeah.
And we're not too far. I mean, it's a dirt road, but the road's right there behind our tent. And man, we checked the next morning. There wasn't a branch down.
Yep.
There wasn't a branch down. There was nothing around. I went deep. There was no branches. I went probably a quarter mile in each direction, and we were pretty close to the river, so there's no trees on that side really.
Yep.
There was nothing. I don't know how to. It was absolutely nuts. And so we're camping, so we don't have service, but we get back to the house that next day, and that classic Bigfoot howl,
Hmm.
you know, the one I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, man.
I played that for my wife. Says, "Is this what you heard?" Yeah. I was like, "That's what I heard too." And I turned the phone around to show her. She was like, "No way. Get out of here. There's no way." I was
Why not?
"Hey, you heard it.
Yeah.
I heard it. You said that was the sound. These people say that this is what they've captured. We have a Bigfoot experience."
Yes. Yes.
It was just, man, it was funny. You hear how people get so scared about it. And I even think this exact conversation has happened with your shows. You know, you're like, got my gun. I'm a tough guy. There's no, nope, no, you're not. You're not tough. You're absolutely terrified. You're about to urinate in your pants. You were that scared. 100%. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like I said, I wished before all this started, before all this, us having this talk and me reaching out to you, man, I've got a really boring paranormal life. It is the exact thoughts that I had. And then I sat down, man, no way. I think I'm about halfway done.
You got a lifetime of paranormal activity, man.
And I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
And that's because it's just, it happens to other people. It doesn't happen to me. Well, buddy, it does.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my wife and I moved with our kids back to San Diego last year. And while the COVID stuff was still pretty heavy, and yes, California was pretty strict with the COVID regulations, and we had the memorandum or the moratorium. I forget what they called it. You can't get kicked out of your house because you don't pay rent during this pandemic is what they had.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was nationwide or just California, but that's what they had set. And I called. See, here's the thing. I was supposed to go out to Vegas and get a place, and I didn't work. I fell flat on my ass. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find, at that time I was a machinist because again, gun work wasn't paying the bills. Tire work wasn't paying the bills. I'm getting older. Tire work's hard.
Yeah.
And I got a job as a machinist, and that paid the bills pretty good.
Yeah, man, that's good.
But, and I got really good at my job. So I was like, oh, I can go anywhere at this point and at least get in.
Yep.
And I had some ins in Vegas, but they just didn't work out. So last minute, Vegas is only 5 hours from home. Like, hey, what do you think? Should I go check out Vegas? Should I go check out San Diego? And my wife, I took my wife here when we first met, when we were still dating. And that was a mistake because she was like, oh, well, you know, we're going to live here now.
Yo, yeah.
Cool. But I get out to San Diego, and finding a job was hardish. I am very fortunate to I've got like 4 friends in my life that are my 4 horsemen. You know, they've been there through everything, 20 plus years of friendship. Like, these are my boys. And one of them, he really came through, and he got me a job. And it's a really good, just the current job that I have now. And it's a great job. It's an amazing job. But I couldn't find an apartment. And I had like a week left before I had to go back to Idaho to get my family and bring them down. And I called, no joke, 30 places, and all of them didn't have a spot. Finally, the 31st place did. Yeah, we have an opening. Come on down. We'll sign the paperwork. All right, cool. And I signed everything, and I'm back in Idaho at this point, and I get a call from the property manager, and I'm like, okay, this is not good.
Yeah, different kind of scary.
Like, hey, yeah, whole different type of scary. He goes, hey, Joe, just wanted to let you know, I feel like I legally don't have to tell you this, but I want to. The reason you have a unit is the previous tenant died.
Oh, man.
And I over the phone, I said, we'll call him Jim.
Mhm.
I said, Jim, don't you ever scare me like that again. I was like, I'll deal with ghosts, but I can't deal with not having an apartment.
Yeah.
So second apartment that I got because someone had passed away. And it's a nice place. We all get in and we're all comfortable. And we give the two boys, it's a 2-bedroom, so it's it's really expensive.
Yeah.
So we give the boys the master bedroom so they can share a room, they have more space. And my wife and I take the smaller room. And again, the boys have the master bedroom, which is anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. My older boy, I didn't find this out until later, but shortly after we got there, my older boy said he told my wife that he saw a shadow standing at the foot of his bed by the closet.
Of course.
And he said it didn't scare me, but I was scared. Which kids speak. I don't know what that means, but I get it at the same time.
Yeah, like it didn't provoke him, but still scared.
Yeah. So he said he closed his eyes, and it was at the closet when he closed his eyes, and then he opens them, and it's at the foot of his bed.
No.
And I trust his 9-year-old self more than most adults that I know in my life.
Yeah. Why would they
trust this kid?
Yeah, man.
Right. I trust him. I listen to him. So I'm just going to go in the way that I have it here. At that point, my wife has a medium friend. We're going to call this medium friend M for medium. So my wife contacted M and said that there was that our son saw something at the foot of his bed. And the M goes on to say, yep, you have a spirit. He wore a bandana. He's friendly. Don't worry. He's not going to hurt anybody. Just tell him that, hey, you're scaring the kids. You got to move on. And then go ahead and spray. I forget the mixture. My wife knows. I don't know what the concoction was, but she gave this concoction to help with sealing the house.
Okay.
So like expel everything, then seal it, and then make it safe. So we have that black tourmaline still in the house. We've got it's like a salt, and I don't know what's in it. I'm not going to pretend like I do. So that's all around every single window and door frame, everything. And we haven't had anything happen since in this house. So I go to after my wife, because again, it had been probably weeks after this happened that my wife tells me. I go into the office and I asked the office lady, I said, hey, did that previous tenant, the one that is in my apartment, that was in my apartment before me, did he wear a bandana like all the time? She goes, how'd you know that?
Ooh.
I didn't tell her, but yeah. So it was just more confirmation.
Yep.
Okay. Now we're getting into the less fun side of this. We got into a situation with the kids, and I'm not gonna go too much into it because I don't want to give ammo to anybody. I don't want to sit here and bash anybody. That's not what we're here for.
Right.
But we lost temporary custody of the children.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, it was really hard. But at that point, this is the only my two stepsons. Again, I don't call them my stepsons; they're my sons.
Right.
They're the only chance. They're the only sense of being a father that I've had in my entire life. And I've wanted to be a kid far longer than anybody should ever. Like 15, I wanted to be a dad. No one at 15 needs to be a dad, but I wanted that.
Yeah, I get it.
So like now my children are gone. And that level of fear and sadness, it makes you do stupid things, man. I ended up calling out to anything that would listen, almost like a prayer.
Yeah.
Because at this point, my relationship with God is non-existent, and I'm scared. I'm mad, and I didn't know what to do. So I'm telling you, anything, aliens, ghosts, demons. I even prayed to God in that moment of non-belief. I prayed to God. I named 3 specific really bad things. I'm not afraid to name them. I understand you have things that happen at your house when people do. So I'll ask you, do you want me to name them or no?
Hey, you're good, man. I'm prayed up.
Okay, good. So I prayed out specifically to Lucifer, Leviathan, and Baal.
Yeah. Oh my.
Bad dudes, right? Real bad dudes.
Yeah.
And nothing happened. So I got into this, my head, like, oh, not even these guys want to help or want to take advantage of me to help me. And it's just like low. I was getting lower and lower and lower and lower. And there's a hallway at my current work because we have to do rounds because I'm on B shift. So I have to do rounds to make sure nobody else is in the building before we turn on the security alarm. And there's an office front that has this long hallway, and it's not particularly creepy, but I started to get this weird feeling, the electrified feeling of my neck going down that hall. And the times that I was feeling really down and out, I would say out loud, if you're not going to help me, leave me the F alone.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. You do not interest me with your touching me on the neck. And then the really bad stuff started to happen. Like I said, my sister was a truck driver.
Yeah.
And I got we were getting the boys for their Christmas break. And I drove out to Vegas. But we had to meet in a halfway point. So it was like 6-7 hour drive at this point. So it's just past Vegas. And we got the boys and we're coming back, and we stop in Vegas because the boys hadn't seen Santa yet. And it's like the week before Christmas. You gotta go see Santa.
Gotcha.
So we stop in Vegas to see Santa, and that we don't get home till like 2:00 in the morning. And my wife wanted to give them a couple presents to open up early because we were going to do our Christmas opening the next day. So they had the entire week that we had them to play with their new stuff.
Yeah, man.
And we let them open up a few things before we went to bed. And so we were up till 3 o'clock. No, 4 o'clock. No, 3 or 4 o'clock, whatever it is. 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And we said, okay, so when you guys wake up, you're not to come out here and just open, right? You got to come wake us up. So of course, 7 o'clock in the morning rolls around. So 3 or 4 hours of sleep.
Right.
And we do the opening, and I go to lay back down because I'm like, okay, opening's done. Enjoy your toys. I'm going back to sleep because I've got, everybody got to sleep in the car. I didn't. I was driving all night.
Right.
So I'm going to go back to sleep, get a little nap in. And as I lay down, I get a text from my mom, and she said, we need to talk or call me or something like that. That's a great text to see first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And found out that my sister was in an accident. She was killed. Man, I've been through my levels of grief, and I come to this conclusion: how many of us know somebody that died doing what they loved?
Yeah, that's true.
That's cool with me.
Yeah.
But my sister had a kid, and the kid was 17. So I went back up to Vegas that morning, got my kid. Luckily, again, one of my 4 horsemen said, hey, can you ride with me? Because I've got 3 hours of sleep and I just made this drive.
Right.
He goes, yeah. So we go out and get my niece, and we come back. So now now I'm raising a 17-year-old who already has the bad habits, and trying to say, hey, look, I'm not just an uncle. I'm like your guardian now. Well, I'm going to be your guardian. Like I'm in charge of making sure you're alive until you're 18 at least, you know? So we did our best. Shortly after that, probably February this last year, we had our trial for the custody, and we lost full custody. So again, the reason I'm telling all of that personal, non-spooky stuff is it kind of shows you where my head's at.
Yeah, bro.
So again, like I'm down and out even more. My wife is down and out even more. I lost one of my best friends. My sister was my best friend. When I said I spent days and days and days fishing, that's who I was fishing with. Like,
yeah.
And, you know, stuff really started to pick up in April as far as paranormal stuff.
I'll bet.
So I was doing the rounds again, and I came to the end of the hallway. And if I were to keep going straight, there's the break room. And then if I go to the right, there's the door to the hallway that I spoke about earlier. And every one of these doors that separates rooms like that have a big window in the middle of it. You know, probably halfway up to the top.
Right.
And I look over to my right, and I see something in the bottom left-hand corner of that window as I'm looking at it. And I'm like, the heck is that? And I just turn around and I walk away. I'm like, no. And I turn back and it's gone. And I'm like, was it because we have these thermometers that like no touch thermometers on the wall. Right. I'm like, it's got to, because that's what my brain registered it as at first. And then I went back and I looked at it, and that thermometer is in the very center of that window. Like I tried moving and trying to get different angles. Nope, there was something in the bottom left-hand corner of that window. And I don't know, there were no details aside from pale black hair and some sort of reddish blotch, grayish blotch. I don't know, some sort of blotching. Yeah. And I go out to my break the next day, and I'm just, you know, scrolling, and I was on Instagram, and one of the I follow graveyards, so like one of the things was like top 10 most cult favorite horror movies, whatever it was. I don't know, it was some sort of list. And the picture of that girl from the remake of Evil Dead coming up from that trap door, that was the main picture. And my stomach went through the bottom of my car, because that's how I relate what I saw. I didn't see details, right? But that's the best way I can describe it. It was a face like that girl looking out from that trap door. So I go home and I tell my wife about this, because it was funny. It was like what else? What else is gonna happen? You know, like we're kind of laughing about it, and my wife kind of gets this serious look on her face. Excuse me, on her face. And she reminds me of something that happened back in Idaho Falls in about 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. And so my wife, again, my wife wakes me up out of a dead sleep, like freaking out. And I was like, what is going on? And she said she saw a face peeking into the room. Wow. I never experienced anything in that apartment in Idaho Falls. Not one thing. Right. But she said she saw a face peeking in. And that's what I remember. She just saw the face. But as we're talking about it, she goes, well, I saw the face, but I also saw a full-bodied apparition standing in our doorway. I was like, so why did you always want to sleep with the door open?
Yeah, really.
But she goes on to tell me, because again, this stuff, I hadn't been told this next part. She said, I'm sorry, I thought I told you. I said, I would have remembered this. There's no way. But she tells me the full story, and she says that she had a sleep paralysis moment, where she opened her eyes, and the typical sleep paralysis. I can't move, can't speak.
Right.
But she looked up and she saw whatever that thing was on her chest.
Oh my
and
gosh.
she could feel the pressure on her chest.
Yeah.
So this was the first time M helped us, and this is the reason why I trust M so much. And actually there's more with M. M has quite a bit of a role to play in the next little bit, but M had told my wife that the entity was leeching off her suffering because she was in an abusive relationship, and it was attached to the stuffed animals that she had from that relationship. So my wife threw them away. And in the moment, I was like, I would have remembered if you had said that an entity was attached. I just thought you were getting rid of them, because I was sitting there trying to convince her to keep them.
Right.
I was like, no, they mean so much to you. You should keep them. And I think she just said, well, they're from a different relationship. I was like, okay, well, you do what you got to do.
Right.
So she threw them away. And the entity showed up in M's back seat.
What?
Pissed. It was pissed that she threw away those stuffed animals.
Oh my gosh.
And at that point, M had to pull over and breathe through it. She's used to this kind of stuff, but like, I don't know, just like out of nowhere, this thing shows up. And let me backtrack. I don't know if it was in the back seat or the front seat. It appeared in her car. Well, let's just say that it appeared in her car. And after that, M went ahead and, from where she's at, cleansed the house, my wife, her car, all that stuff. And we haven't had an issue since with it. But after my wife told me this, I started having my suspicions, and I maybe thought I was attached by this thing now. Yeah. I shouted out to whatever was listening, come help me. And then my sister died, and then my kids were taken away permanently, and a bunch of little stuff that it's not really important, just a bunch of little stuff here and there started happening. I was like, nothing is going right. I'm attached. This thing found us because I put a beacon up, and it attached itself to us. So on the 25th of April, my wife reached out to M to see what she had to say.
And this is like a week ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so the evil dead girl thing, that was like the 20th or the 21st of April. This next event happened. So yeah. So on the 26th of April, M so my wife had reached out the day before, and M got back to us the next day. And she goes, what's going on? And I explained the situation. And she said, well, you could have opened a portal, something came through, but she never said it was a thing from before. I feel like if it was, she would have said something. I feel like it was just some low level, whatever, some passerby. Yeah. But she gave me methods to combat this. One of the things was, she told me to call on ancestors for help. And at that point, I said, I don't know. She goes, did you have a family member die recently? Yeah. Was it an aunt or like a sister? Yeah, it was my sister. Like, I don't want to give too many details because I want to see what she has to say, and I don't want to interfere with. At this point, I already trust M. Yep. I trust her. Yeah. But again, I don't want to maybe scramble what she's seeing or whatever, however that works. So I'm giving like real short answers. And she says, she had 2 kids. I explained the situation. She did. And she said, well, this person has volunteered to help you said that she's the best one to.
Yeah, buddy. It's all right.
She's the best one to help you out in this situation. Yeah, you know, my sister had my back in life, just like that. You know, at that point, she says, "Hey, I'm at work. This is getting kind of scattered. So let me revisit this energy on the weekend, and I'll let you know." So the same day, that night, this one's the one that kind of irked me a little bit. I was sitting in the parking lot in my car at lunch, and something hit the side of my car, and it sounded like somebody like open hand slapped my passenger door, not hard, just like a boom, you know. And I got out, I thinking, you know, pine cone or stick or something from the trees that are not close to my car got picked up by the wind, hit my car. I'm trying to debunk this, you know?
Right.
And I get out and there's just nothing. I look underneath the car, which I guess in situations like this, you probably should never look under the car.
Yeah. Classic horror movie moment. Yeah.
I did. And after I confirmed that there was nothing around, there was no dent, no new dent, at least in my car. And I got that electric feeling again. And at that point, again, like that feeling, I don't know why, it's like a go button for me. It just pisses me off now. Yeah. I said, leave me alone. I internally in my head, I called out to my sister, and immediately that feeling disappeared.
Wow.
I went in that night and I asked my boss, my lead, said, "Hey, you had an experience pretty similar, didn't you?" He had food poisoning that one night. This was months ago. He had food poisoning. He's sitting in his car, kind of falling asleep, trying to feel better before he left for work. Same thing. Someone banged on his door and it woke him up, but there was nothing out there. So again, validation.
Yep.
Same night, I was doing the rounds. I was walking by. So it's all dark. There's just like maybe a couple of lights on for like, and just in the hallway, but like the department lights are out. And the R&D area where I work has like an open ceiling where lights from because the lights down the hall were on, and they were shining through a little bit, not lighting the place up, but they were lighting it up enough to where I can see there was a toolbox right there, you know?
Yeah.
And as I'm walking by, something just as fast as you can go across it. And I was like, again, I saw it. I kept walking. I stopped. I said, come on. No way. There's no way that happened. So I walked back and I'm like sitting there, like going back and forth, like, trying to make a shadow, you know?
Right.
And I couldn't. And I've done this every night since, trying to recreate that shadow, even with me fast walking, which was faster than I was walking when I saw it. If I'm power walking through there, I'm not creating that shadow. It wasn't like, you know, the blacker than black. It was like a bluish gray.
Yeah.
And it was faster. It was so fast, man. That was it. It was gone. So I never reached back out to M to find out about the energy. I just kind of wanted to, I was like, well, if this stuff keeps happening, I'm not going to be able to tell it all on the day that we talk. So I just kind of stopped there. But yeah, that's it, man. That's everything.
Oh, brother. One again, I know you're on the mend, but I'm very sorry for the loss of your sister. I'm very
I appreciate
sorry. I'm very sorry for the situation you're in with the kids right now. And before we get into the rest of what's going on here, I just want to tell you, man, don't give up on that. I don't share a whole lot on this show, but I had a lot of struggles getting my daughter. I had custody of her until the time I separated from the Air Force. When she was 5, I had to give her back to her mother. And I guess I'll try to follow your rules about not slandering anybody.
It's hard. I understand. It's absolutely hard.
She spent the next 8 years in a very volatile and abusive spot. And we had custody battles. She testified against her own mother at one point, okay, and lost. But things got worse, as you would expect.
Right.
But when she was 13, by the grace of God, she got to stay with me. I guess enough damage had been done in somebody's view, and she just gave up and let her stay with me because I had her for the summer, and she's been with me ever since, man. So it took 8 years.
Yeah.
But don't give up, man.
No, it's pretty close to the situation. Yeah. What you're saying is what's going on, and the boys aren't old enough to be heard, and that's what hurts the most,
Yeah.
But we're here for them.
That's it.
And we're trying to stay as positive as possible.
That's it. That's all you can do. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
If there's any kind of visitation, any kind of contact that you are allowed, do it. If you can't, if you can't, write letters, you know what I mean, and keep them, give them to them later. The day will come.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
I'm not trying to bring everything down here, man. You had some crazy stuff go on.
Yeah.
But and more. I wrote like 1,000 notes. Don't blame yourself, bro. I know you feel like you might have brought this on, and it don't, even if calling out to whatever opened up whatever, you didn't cause what they're doing or what's happening. It's not your fault that these things are happening. You reached out out of desperation. That's just from love. And of course, the deceivers and the adversaries are going to try to make things worse, because the lower you get, the more control they have, bro.
Right.
That's not your fault. But have you tried rebuking these spirits?
So M gave me, like I said, she gave me some method. Well, I don't know, actually, I said this. She did give me some methods to combat this, and she said that because there's been no exchange, I'm not indebted to anything, because the things that had happened, which were the things that I was hoping to get help with. You know what I mean? Yeah. So all I have to do is, she said, I'm using my phone. Otherwise I'd pull it up on my phone with exactly what she said. But I believe she said something about calling out to, or praying to, look, man, I'm gonna absolutely butcher it. I don't know. But yes, she said call out to God in the highest, I believe. Mm-hmm. Something along those lines. And then meditation and mantras and all kinds of stuff. And the ancestor thing is what helped.
Yeah.
And since I started doing that, I've been feeling a little more at peace, because I know my sister's got my back.
Yeah, man.
My sister was she was vicious when it came to her little brother. So
that's wonderful. And I don't know how it works from reaching out from beyond, but I believe that it works, you know.
Well, we had a deal when she was still alive. We said it more or less out of a joke, you know, the whole whoever dies first, tell the other one what's going on.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything yet, but at least the process has started.
Yeah, man.
But yeah,
but I just got to tell you, and I'm not a preacher, okay? But I've heard this so many times, and I've had to do this probably a dozen times. If you rebuke these things in the name of Jesus Christ, even if your faith in Jesus isn't strong, Joe, theirs is.
right.
You know, if you got Baal, Lucifer, they know who the Son of God is, and
Right.
they have to obey. They don't have a choice. There's power in that name. Whether you want it, you know, whether you want to follow that path, that's okay. You know, it's your journey. But if you want these things to go away, that will work. You know, I've heard atheists talk about it. It works, you know.
Yeah.
So I would advise that, man. I'm not trying to make things uncomfortable or anything like that. I know.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But yeah, it's so intriguing to me about how, you know, you're getting this assistance from your sister. I wish I knew how this worked.
You and me both.
You know what I mean, man?
You and me both.
Because there's times where I can smell my grandmother's perfume and it gives me comfort. You know, she passed away 13 years ago. I still feel her sometimes. How? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I went on. I've soul searched ever since she passed away for what's on that other side. How do I communicate? How do I keep a connection? No clue, bro. But whatever it is, she's there, you know? And some people are blessed with these spiritual gifts, like M is apparently blessed with this gift.
Yeah.
It's real, man. It's everything, every fantasy, folklore, all of it's real, bro.
Oh yeah.
And we're living in it.
I'm right there with you.
You know, we're living.
I'm right there with you. And it's hard because I reached out to another one of my other horsemen there, and you know, he kind of I get where he was coming from, but he goes, how are you sleeping at night? I said, I'm sleeping okay, I guess. You know, I wake up sore. It's just existing, you know.
Right.
But he said, in my experience, that stuff gets weird when I'm lack of sleep. So in that moment, I felt as if like this guy that I've known longer than the other horsemen, now he's doubting me. He knows my character. And that's like, and I got the same thing at work where I'm like, okay, I actually had to talk to my lead. I was like, you experience this stuff. I feel like you're making fun of me. Why are you making fun of me?
Yeah.
Like, I know what I saw. I'm not, I don't know. It's enough to make you feel crazy. That's for sure.
It is.
And the comments, like what my friend and my lead said, like, it's enough to like, I'm not going to talk about this.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And that sucks because this stuff, like, if that person hadn't talked about their Bigfoot experience with you, I never would have said, hey, there's someone else out there that has experienced the exact same thing that I have.
Yeah. It's so much more common, man. It's so much more common. But so many people are afraid to say something. But you, fortunately, are what? You're about what? 33, 34?
34 years old. Yeah.
34. You're hitting the age, Joe, where it just don't matter anymore what anybody else says, thinks. You know, you're going to tell your truth, and let the cards fall where they may, man.
We call rounds now at work. We call it searching for ghosts. I got everybody at work saying that now. So that's the thing. They've all felt it too. They all know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Whether they want to admit it or not, they know.
Yeah, man. Everybody's got a story. You're just braver
yeah.
than most, you know. You're stepping out there. You're putting it out there, man.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's Bigfoot. You heard the tree breaks, the snaps, the running through the trees, and then nothing, right?
I don't know if it was running through the trees because, again, these sounded like big branches breaking,
Yeah.
like high up branches breaking.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I know the
obviously,
episode you're talking about hearing this from. It was
yeah.
Denise out there in Pennsylvania, where it just felt like
I'm pretty sure.
like a dozer just dropping stuff. You know, it's like just
Yes.
crushing.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it was, oh man, it was just, it sounded like it was right outside my tent.
Yeah.
Again, I was scared that like this was happening, but I was more scared like, is something going to hit my tent
Right.
with my family in it?
Right.
Yeah. I'd never heard anybody say anything about that before.
Right.
It was.
You know, I hear people talk about Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it, can mimic sounds. You know, like they can mimic the sound of a car door shutting or a car alarm going off when you're 5 miles deep in the woods and you're hearing this, you know, it sounds like a car starting up or somebody.
Right.
I heard what sounded like somebody's sawing, like taking a hacksaw to a metal pipe, and I was out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, okay. And it sounded like it was on an amplifier coming from a certain tree. Like this happened. And I went to this tree and I'm like, okay, where the hell is this coming from? You know?
Yeah.
Never to this day, I don't understand that. But they say
Man.
that, you know, that you know, these creatures are capable of these things, man. So yeah, I don't doubt at all. And I've heard a lot of stories come out of Idaho, Snake River specifically. So you were in the territory, man. You just
and I didn't even know it. I didn't know it till after. I didn't know it till way after that was. I would have spent more time in the woods.
Yeah, man, for sure.
You know, because as scared as I was, that was just the situation. My family was involved. You know, like, but if I'm going out there just peaceful, like, I don't know, maybe it would have been different. I probably still would have been super scared.
Yeah.
And you can't say you're going to be a super tough guy in that situation. You don't know, you know, and nobody knows.
No. How cool would it be, you know, you and the kids finding a Bigfoot track out there or something? You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
That's something for
you know, I had a conversation one time with the older boy about Bigfoot. I was pretty sure it was after this. Yeah. And I was like, are you scared of Bigfoot? Like, do you know what Bigfoot is? And he said, yeah, I know what it is. It doesn't scare me. It's scary because I don't know what it is. I was like, man, you're 8 years old. That's crazy.
Got it figured out, man.
You got it figured out that young.
Well, let me ask you that question. What is Bigfoot, man?
Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Man, I have heard so many things, and I don't know where I stand with that, because everything's possible, right? You can't say one thing is. You can't say it's one thing and it's not this.
Right.
You can't. There's no way.
Right.
Bigfoot's everything, man. It's whatever you want it to be. That's
perfect answer.
I don't know how else to put it, because like the one that I really like the thought of, at least, is it's a separate species of human or something, Nephilim spawn, something like that.
Oh yeah.
And it's that one's really interesting to me. And interdimensional, I don't know. Yeah, can't say no.
Right. Right.
But I don't know. It's everything that everybody thinks.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a tulpa.
Could be.
And it's whatever. Maybe it's whatever you want it to be.
Could be. So the answer is yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yep, 100%.
I love it. Oh gosh, man. You like Sam Tripoli says, you know, he's got Mount Crushmore. I feel like this is one of those episodes, man. Like, you have covered everything, the whole show. You know, if people watch more than like one episode, they know that BUMP stands for the Believers of the Unexplained, Monsters, and Paranormal. And here you have covered UFOs,
The trifecta.
monsters, and paranormal. Yeah, bro. Like this is everything. I'm so grateful to you for coming on the show, and
I appreciate the letting me talk about this stuff and not feeling like a loon, you know, like
not at all.
Like I know that there's any story with this stuff, people are gonna be like, there's no way that happened, and that's fine. But again, I was there.
Yeah.
I know what I saw.
Yeah.
And you can believe me or you're not. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Because when you have your own experience, you'll understand.
That's it.
You'll understand much better than you do right now.
Amen,
if you don't
brother.
believe it.
Amen.
You know.
Amen. Oh man, Joe, I appreciate you so much. And you come out here, you scared me to death. You made me laugh. You broke my heart. You put me back together again. You know, it's been a true blessing, man. I really thank you for this.
No problem. I appreciate you again. And man, I love the show. Love it so much. It's nice to hear the evolution.
Yeah.
You know, the older episodes to now, where you're doing it on your phone. Now you got a microphone, and it's
one of these,
man.
I appreciate it, man. One of these days, I'll be able to afford a mixing board and go like Sam Tripoli. Maybe I can get a producer or something. For now, it's a one-man band. You know.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, nailing it, brother.
I appreciate you, man. Hey, if that's all for today, just keep in touch with me on email, because I want to follow this story, man. I feel like there's more to come.
And I'll let you whatever new thing happens. Because I'm sure the work stuff is not over with. I'm sure I'm gonna reach out to M, maybe if I can muster the courage.
Yeah. Because
it's not a subject I'm excited, but I'm absolutely terrified to dive into.
Yeah, man, I get that.
The unknown, you know. So, but absolutely, I will keep in touch, man.
Sweet. I appreciate it, brother. I'll holler at you just a little bit. There's an email, or there's a couple things I want to send to you here in a little bit too. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
I'll holler at you later, brother.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You too.